It's about I, it's about thee, it's about E, it's about thee. I don't mean like the little creature who's also named Eevee. It's about training really hard, entering tournaments and winning them all. It's about never giving up. I'm joined by Kira Buckland and she will carry on Kirblog. Welcome. I didn't even rehearse that. That one turned out okay, I would say. I'd give it like a 3 out of 10. Welcome everybody to the next installment. What? Oh, already?
Featuring surprise guest Jareth.
Oh my god. Oh, we have a cat in the midst? Jareth counts as
Yeah.
Your cats all count as Pokemon as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's either a Pumpkaboo or a Flareon.
Neither of which are cat Pokemon. This is wonderful.
Right, but he's orange and has the fluffy tail like Flareon, and then he's a pumpkin spice cat, so he's also a Pumpkaboo.
He's also a jerk as far as I'm concerned, but you know. Hi, I'm joined by Kira Buckland. Hi, Kira.
Hi.
I have not. When was the last time you were on a Kirblog? Was it the Zestiria one we did?
Yeah.
My God, that was over a year ago by now. By the way, is that fucking crazy?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that was October 2015. Well, we're not going to talk about Tales of Zestiria, even though you should totally watch Tales of Zestiria: The Cross on Funimation, featuring both of us, because LOL.
Shameless plug.
No, actually, we're going to talk about Pokemon, because it is still Pokécember. Trucking on through, we're about at the halfway point now. Shake out those lips! But before we go into the actual topic, as I've been kind of starting things off with this, Kira, I'm actually curious to hear your backstory with Pokemon, because despite the fact that, as I think many people who follow you know, that you are big in the gaming world community, you know, not just in voiceover, but as a gamer, you actually did not grow up with the early generations of Pokemon. Was that right? What was your kind of origin story with the franchise, as it were?
Well, I mean, like, I knew a little bit about it when I was a kid, like, you know, had some of, like, the cards or, you know, like, watched the first movie or whatever, but I didn't really get to know a lot about it, so I kind of, later in life, I actually got into it through, like, competitive Pokemon with, Heart Gold, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I definitely jumped on the bandwagon of actually playing the games a bit later than most people, but I sort of got into it because, you know, I'd got the game, I worked at a game store at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to get this and play it, and then we were starting a Pokemon League back in my hometown, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know anything about competitive Pokemon, and so people were kind of teaching me about, well, here's this, and here's why things like natures are important, and what have you, and that was my real introduction to it, and then I started, I don't know if, like, Smogon is still used as the main resource for this stuff, but I remember just spending a lot of time on Smogon, being like, okay, what set should I run on this guy, and stuff like that.
Well, then I guess that is perfect, because so your origin point is literally the subject we're going to talk about today, which I'm actually really excited about this one, because much like with the Pokemon Go and Nuzlocke one that I just did over the last couple of weeks with Crystal and Zito, I'm learning something about, despite the fact that this is one of my favorite, like, things, it's one of my favorite, like, franchises all across the board, there are a lot of things about different subsects of it that I don't know about, and competitive Pokemon play is one of those things. I know, in fact, quite frankly, and I'm sure you probably get what I mean by this, really my kind of experience with it is just like, oh, it's super, like, you know, work intensive, and the way a lot of people describe it makes it sound like it kind of sucks all the fun out of it or whatever, much like how sometimes people perceive that about, like, competitive, like, Smash Brothers and things like that. But it still, to this day, has, you know, just like the competitive Smash community, which you're also, you've been a part of before, it still has a massively dedicated following to it. And you know, Pokemon, like, officially, like, the Pokemon Company International does big events with tournaments between people who play these games. So I want to get educated. I want you to tell me about I want you to tell me about competitive Pokemon and shit, because I am so, like, clueless, really, and I knew some other folks, including yourself, that were in leagues and went to competitions and flew out to, like, some of the tournaments and stuff, but tell me also about, like, your kind of early days with it, and then, like, kind of what you know about that world, as it were.
Okay, so my first introduction to competitive Pokemon was up in Alaska because that's where I was born and raised and stuff. And we had something called the Alaska Pokemon League, which unfortunately has kind of since dissolved. I think they've tried to make various reboots of that sort of thing, but I don't know if there's one going on now. Anyway, we would have different gym leaders for different types, just like in the game, you know? And I remember I was the psychic gym leader because that was one of the types that was open. And when I was first thinking about choosing my team, I was like, okay, I'll choose this one and this one, this one, because, like, they're cool. And then it was like, oh no, this is actually a terrible one for battling, and here's why. Because, I mean, I'm sure anyone knows, if they've even played against another person who's reasonably good, that what you do in your solo, like when you're just going through the game and beating it and stuff, what kind of team you have in there is a lot different than the strategy you use playing against an actual human opponent. Because I don't know about everyone else, but for me, when I'm just going through the game and battling like the regular trainers or gym leaders, I tend to kind of just like want to like sweep them quickly and get it over with or what have you. And you can use more, I guess you don't have to play as smart because they're not going to like switch out really from anticipating an earthquake or what have you. But like when you're playing against an actual human, I feel like there's a lot more I guess you could come in with just like a really aggressive team, but you see a lot of status effects coming into play. So you see like for example, a lot of switching in and out tends to happen. So you'll see a lot of use of entry hazards, or at least you used to. I think some restrictions were placed on different things, but you'd have spikes or toxic spikes or stealth rock. That was the one they were trying to like push out of the game because it was so common that people would put out a stealth rock and then they take damage whenever they like. I hated it as someone who really liked using Gyarados because I'd take that rock damage every time I switched in. And
he just had to be water and flying, for Christ's sake, just every time.
Certain status effects too, like paralysis. I mean, I didn't tend to use, say, like to paralyze opponents in just like the game, like against the CPUs that often, but if you're fighting against an actual person in that kind of situation, it's super useful to have something like Thunder Wave because it also cuts their speed. So you have somebody trying to sweep you with this really fast thing. If you can get that Thunder Wave out, then it's really crippled.
So I'm actually curious too. So Heart Gold Soul Silver was your first game, which was a Generation 4 game, actually. In fact, chronologically, for anybody who's curious, as I'm sure plenty are, I believe that was right after the Brawl Taunts era was done, because I think that was when you moved back to Alaska for a while before you came back. So when you first played the game, before you were really learning the ins and outs of like how this stuff worked and everything, did you do a playthrough of the game like I guess casually, quote unquote? Like, did you just kind of like experience it as it was without thinking too deeply about like the IV EV stuff, which I don't even fully comprehend, and I want to get into like what that stuff actually means a little later. But did you get to basically experience a Pokemon game like, I guess, the quote unquote normal or standard kind of way?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'm actually curious, because even before we delve further into the competitive side, Heart Gold and Silver still, that was 2010 that came out. That is still regarded as one of the best Pokemon games.
I absolutely agree, and I've played every game that came out since then, and I also went back and played like the Diamond Pearl Platinum stuff, and then I went back and played like the GBA games and what have you. So, but I still think that's my favorite.
And so when you first play, I mean, obviously by that point, yeah, you had to have known like much more about Pokemon as a franchise. But what was kind of your first experience with just playing through? Because I don't know how many like turn-based RPG games in general you had played previously. So like, was that kind of your introduction to the genre? Did you feel at home? Like, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I guess I felt pretty good with it, but there were a lot of basic things, I guess, that I did not really think about when I first started. So, for instance, I would be like, like not really think about the difference between physical and special attacks and why it's important which one you put on your Pokemon. So, for example, it was like, oh, your Snorlax wants to learn Hyper Beam. I'm like, sure, that sounds like a good idea. And then you kind of realize, like, okay, there's that, and like why you want to have a variety of moves of different types. Because, like, if you start with the fire starter, which I feel like everybody does, then you're kind of like, oh, I want to put a bunch of fire moves on this guy. And then you realize, like, no, here's why you need to have these different options.
Which I think even just casual players of the game like eventually kind of figure out, like, oh yeah, I probably don't need to have both flamethrower and fire spin and fire blast all on the same character.
Yeah.
Do you remember any kind of like funny like things like that had happened like on your first playthrough? Like, did you get through the main campaign like relatively okay, or? Okay. So when you would, was that to acquaint yourself, and then after that, did you really like replay again from the beginning with building like a competitive team in mind, basically?
Well, you can kind of do stuff with that in the post game. Like, you can go to all the, like, it helps especially if you're trying to EV train to go to the victory road or what have you, and you can fight higher level Pokemon, gain more experience. By then you have all the post game items that you can use, and since breeding is so important for that, then a lot of your post-game stuff, if you play competitively, is you're riding on your little bike with the eggs. Like, you'll have your one, like, your fly Pokemon in your party, and then the rest is just eggs, and you're like riding up and down with like the flame body trying to hatch those eggs, and you go back to the daycare center, and the old couple's like, oh, I found another one, do you want it?
So you would be building a whole new team from scratch, like hatching new Pokemon and like training and building them from the ground up specifically for competitive teams, more or less. Is that right?
Yeah, because unless you got really lucky, like say when you pick your starter, it just happens to be the right nature and stuff. But even then, it's like the EVs won't be right because you will have just gone through the game with it and stuff. So usually, yeah, you just want to breed what you want. And thankfully, instead of it just being a crapshoot, if you have it, like, collecting dittos is really important, because if you have, say, an adamant ditto, like, say I want an adamant Gyarados, which is the best nature to have for a Gyarados, pretty much, since it's the highest physical attack and the lowest special attack, because you don't need special attack in a Gyarados, then if I put an adamant ditto and a Magikarp or Gyarados in the daycare, then there's a really good chance that or it might be for sure now, I can't remember honestly, but basically you'll get pretty good chance of having an adamant Magikarp.
So okay, teach me, Sensei. I have had this explained to me before, but I'm actually curious for the Rina-Chan version as it is. Tell me about, what do EV and IV points actually mean? Like, how do you like nurture those? Like how do you go about using these kind of, like, not necessarily at the forefront of, like, you won't read about this in the instruction manual that comes with the game type of things when you're building a competitive Pokemon team?
Okay, so the EV stands for effort values, which, I mean, doesn't really mean much, but it's basically the way the stats are distributed. Some stats are going to be higher than others in certain categories. And so the goal with it is to boost the stat that you want the most, and then have the stat lowered that you don't really need or need the least on it. And it depends on what you want your Pokemon to do and what its specialty is. So it's not like one nature is, I mean, there are some natures that are useless, and like you never really want the neutral natures because that's pointless, but it largely depends on what you want the Pokemon to do. So, for example, if you have, like I mentioned, Gyarados, which you generally want to come in and attack, you want your highest stat to be either your physical attack or your speed. And generally, that tends to go with physical attack for that specific Pokemon, so you want an adamant nature. And then for the lowest stat, the one that you don't need, would be the special attack, because you're not going to put Gyarados' special attack stat is really low overall, so you're not going to put like Surf or something on it. You're going to put Waterfall. So you want that nature that boosts the attribute that you want and then takes away the attribute that you don't need, so that the numbers are distributed in the best way possible. Or another example is, say you have a Pokemon that's really like specially defensive, like Blissey. Oh, everyone hated fighting Blissey.
All the fat, super high HB Pokemon are the bane of my fucking existence. Anything that Whitney trains, more or less. So.
Yeah, that Miltank.
Sorry, carry on. I'm having flashbacks.
So for something like that, you will want to have a nature that boosts the special defense, and you could take away like physical attack or special, one of the attack stats, because you're not really going to be attacking with it. Or some like Ferrothorn, you can just take away the speed, because if you have a move that relies on you being slow, like Gyro Ball, or maybe that's for weight, I can't remember, but yeah, you can take away that stat because it's not going to outspeed anything anyway. But the nature is just the first part, because then you actually have to go and get your EVs. So they're like hidden values, essentially, and you can give them to different stats. So, and this is something that they mention in Smogon as well. So you have what I believe is like
what is Smogon, by the way? I'm curious.
Oh, it's a resource for competitive Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Is it like I'm assuming it's a fan created, fan run type thing.
Yeah, and it'll tell you, like, you can look up any Pokemon and it will tell you what tier it's in, and the tiers are kind of important because you actually, like, will battle within certain tiers. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the most common tier is called OU, which is overused, and the tier Uber is like legendary. Not all legendaries, like just because it's a legendary doesn't mean it's an Uber, but generally Ubers are banned in competitive play unless you're like specifically fighting with an Uber. So certain things.
Hashtag not all legendaries. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So and then basically that's like if one's really broken due to stats or ability or whatever, then it'll be relegated to Ubers. And then the reason for things like UU, which is underused, and NU, which is like not used, that sometimes you will have specifically like low tier battles with people, so you can use those Pokemon that you want to use, but don't.
Now when not used or like banned ones or whatever, are those typically like the movie legendaries that they give out at like special events that just have like super ultra like unfair abilities or something that like allow them to just kill everything? Like, is that kind of the deal with them, or?
Yeah, or I know like Kyogre was in there and stuff because it would have the permanent rain, and so you could just come in with a water team and like sweep everything,
right?
What have you, but. And it changes over time, like what's banned and what, like the Mega Evolutions, that was a whole new thing because Mega Gengar was banned since you couldn't switch out, and I think Mega Kangaskhan is or was banned at one point.
Here's what's kind of interesting to me too, because like Pokemon seems like a franchise that's built around like you having your own personalized experience and you having your own team of the ones that you like and that you want to train and you want to have your kind of personal bonding experience with, especially in the more recent ones where now you can like actually like groom them and they'll love you forever, which is wonderful. Which actually I don't even know if like the affection stuff like that, if that like doesn't happen in competitive battles, like if that is eliminated, like your Lycanroc like jumped out of the way just in time with your shot because it loves you, little heart comes out. Does that stuff not happen when you're playing online like competitively?
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
But I was gonna mention with the EVs, because there was so much more to that. It's Yeah, it was 252. I had to double check. I thought it was 252, but I had to double check the number to be safe.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that Smogon will also tell you is where you should be distributing your EVs if you want to run certain sets. So you've got your different stats. You've got like your HP, your attack, your special attack, physical defense, special defense, and speed. And so those 252 points can be distributed among those. With like certain, like you can max out with a certain amount in each category. So you generally want to focus it on the two categories you want most. So in the aforementioned Gyarados, because it's my favorite Pokemon, I obviously want to invest all those EVs into physical attack and speed. So they're kind of like hidden values, but they boost those stat numbers even further. You already like kind of boosted them with the nature when you bred them, but then you also want to further boost them. And there's a few ways to do it. You can do it, you know how you go to the Pokécenter and you get those vitamins or the Pokemart and you can get the vitamins to feed it. That'll work for a certain amount of them. But then the others, you have to go and fight Pokemon that have those attributes. And there's whole guides you can look up. Like, oh, if you want to improve your HP, you go and fight these Pokemon. Like I know in the more recent generations, Audino was one that would give you HP EVs if you.
Okay, that's right. So yeah, like so fighting specific ones will give you specific boosts when you level up, and will like basically allow your Pokemon to grow and focus on certain types of expertise. Is that more or less how that works, I guess?
Yeah, so if you're like really adamant about it, no pun intended,
right,
then you will want to go and specifically fight those ones because you don't want to waste your EVs on a stat that you don't need. So it can be kind of tedious, for example, trying to EV train a Magikarp because, you know, it's tempted to just go and fight like the really high level stuff and use your EXP share, but then you could have unwanted EVs being distributed to it. So you have to like really, I mean, there's like trackers and stuff where you can keep track of, okay, I'm getting this many because you max out at a certain, like you can't invest all of your EVs into just speed, for instance. You can do half in speed and half in something else.
Right. Now, when I see the nature stuff, from my perspective, I'm thinking stuff like, oh, my Lycanroc has a shy nature. So like if I'm gonna draw myself and my Pokemon team or something, maybe I'll do that someday. I don't know. I'm gonna draw it all like, oh, don't you senpai or whatever. But funny. But in fact, that type of stuff actually matters in terms of their growth, data wise. Like, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember that was another thing when I first started playing through just casually. I just thought it was kind of like a little, oh, that's a cute little thing. It tells you like what their personality is like. But there's so much more because it actually, and the stats will be in like red and blue. So if you forget what the nature does, you can actually look at it and it will say like which stat is being boosted from that nature and which stat is being decreased. And if none of them are highlighted, it means it's a neutral nature, which is just what it sounds like. But again, those aren't, if you want a competitive team, those aren't great because it's like, why not just get the nature that boosts what you want?
Now Gyarados. Let's talk about Gyarados, which I'm sure you'll adore doing. Now, again, speaking from my perspective, who has very, very little knowledge on like the really like balls deep type of, because this is basically it's manipulating data. It's really like digging deep into, stuff that was built and programmed for a reason, because these are very, very well designed, carefully crafted games. Like they're very, very good RPGs.
We didn't even get into IVs yet. That goes even deeper, and that was something even I didn't usually bother with, but a lot of people do.
Well, when I think of Gyarados, like I've never trained a Gyarados before. I only ever owned one when I was trying to complete my 151 Pokedex years and years ago in Gen 1. But when I see Gyarados, I think Gyarados is so cool, and especially like in the show when they would make him out as like this terrifying, like badass, like Ultra Beast, before Ultra Beasts were its own thing, you know what I mean? But I realized, but Gyarados is water and flying. I would think inherently it has a lot of weaknesses, and particularly like an electric move could probably one-shot that shit, but you've talked extensively about. I mean, I would be so presumptuous to say you've probably had a Gyarados on almost every one of your competitive teams in every generation.
Yep.
So
And thankfully, it's not only my favorite Pokemon, but it's actually a good one too. So, it's an OU, so it's totally viable.
Well, now, so is there? I mean, probably not for every single one, but like, is there basically a way, if you work hard enough and you know what you're doing and train hard enough, basically, can you make any of your favorite Pokemon into something that can fight competitively that is workable, or is there a really, really massive amount, unfortunately, that are just like not worth training for competitive inherently?
If it's in like the NU tier, then unless you're specifically doing like low tier battles, it's usually not worth it because their stats just can't keep up. But I mean, it depends. Like some of them are gimmicky, so if you have a team based around a certain gimmick, and then you can like, it's kind of like about the cohesiveness of your team too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's because you mentioned electric moves, because obviously that is a huge, because Gyarados is 4 times weak to electric. So a big part of competitive strategy is predicting. Like if I see something come in that I know will likely run Thunderbolt, then I have to predict that and switch out accordingly. So having something, for example, with Volt Absorb that I can switch in is really good because, okay, like say I have, I don't know, say there's a Gengar. Well, there's a good chance that they put Thunderbolt on their Gengar because it's a strong special attack move, etc. So I'm fighting this Gengar with my Gyarados. Obviously, can't use Earthquake because it's got Levitate and stuff. And I could, try to boost it with a Dragon Dance or something, but that would be kind of foolish because chances are it's going to run Thunderbolt. So if I switch in something that has Volt Absorb, or if I switch in, like a ground type Pokemon, then they're going to Thunderbolt and it's going to be useless, and then I can come in with something else.
Right.
But switching in something like, say, switching in a Jolteon, if I've already boosted with my Dragon Dance, like, Jolteon's really fast and it's like probably going to outspeed me, so then it like wastes my Dragon Dance and I have to withdraw the Gyarados.
Yeah. Well, so I imagine it's funny because I don't think about this very often, but I have definitely had this thought process of like when you're doing a really like difficult kind of Pokemon battle, even in like against like a CPU opponent, sometimes it is very chess-like in that you got to kind of think a few steps ahead of your opponent. For instance, I was fighting a trainer in Sun and Moon last night. I won't spoil who they are, but I'll say that they were using a Pokemon that used Future Sight. When I defeated that Psychic type that was using it, I switched out to my Incineroar because it was a Dark type, and therefore when the Future Sight attack would hit, it wouldn't affect it because it's Dark, and Psychic doesn't affect Dark. So, and that's something like super basic because Future Sight is a move that, is very telegraphed in that exact way, kind of ironically. But, when you have, and typically, are you doing like 3-on-3 matches or 6-on-6 when you were playing a lot?
I would usually do 6-on-6, but some tournaments, if they have a lot of people, would just do 3-on-3, or then there's like doubles, but the strategy for doubles is different, and I wasn't super experienced in that form of play.
Double matches I would imagine being interesting, but also probably like more complicated than the competitive fighters want to bother with at times, because there's a lot of like other factors.
Some do, but I mean, yeah, you'd see like a lot of weather teams, for instance, because if you have 2 Pokemon that can really benefit.
So like if you have
say you have a sandstorm Pokemon, like you have a Tyranitar or something,
right?
And then you have a, one of the types of Pokemon that can benefit from a sandstorm, then it's like, that's obviously a good option because you have 2 Pokemon in the field that are using the sandstorm to the advantage, and then if neither of the opponent's Pokemon are good in a sandstorm, both of them are like getting hurt and what have you.
You must have to be like practically an encyclopedia because it's like you've got to remember like what every Pokemon's type is. You got to remember what every one of their like a lot of their moves are going to be. Especially now when like a lot of different types can learn other type moves that don't belong to their inherent types. Like it's so easy to forget. Oh shit, that's right. Like Charizard can learn Thunder Punch. Oh god, my water Pokemon is fucked now. What am I going to do? Kind of thing. Or like I even remember in the early days of like when, you know, like my dad and I would play, you know, with rentals in Pokemon Stadium, and I would remember, oh yeah, like the Starmie and the rental Starmie knows fucking Thunderbolt, like, you know, or Persian can learn Thunderbolt, for Christ's sake, it's bizarre.
Yeah. Or like you have to know what sets those things tend to run. Like, for example, if you know that one Pokemon tends to have Will-O-Wisp on the set, then you have to be really, really careful with a physical attacker, because if it has Will-O-Wisp, then you're going to be, you know, that's going to hurt you a lot. Or if one tends to have Thunder Wave or anything that can paralyze you, and you have a Pokemon that relies on its speed, like say it's kind of like a glass cannon and it can't take much damage, but it's really, really fast, then that's going to be a problem if you get paralyzed. So,
do you want to talk about IVs a little bit, since you were chomping at the bit for that earlier?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that goes even deeper, because those are something that it's like you don't change them through, they're like internal values. And those are basically, even when you breed and you get a certain nature, there's like other more hidden values in there. And the only way to really tell what those are is to use something called an IV calculator. Or I think you can go to like one of the NPCs in some of the games and they'll tell you, oh, I see its best attribute is so-and-so.
Right.
And I kind of like to think of it as, for those who play Pokemon Go, when you get it appraised by a trainer and they're like, they tell you whether it's good or not, basically. And
right.
Stuff like that. But it's a lot, even if you're breeding for natures and stuff, if you want to breed for IVs, you have to keep breeding more and more. So it's very tedious, and that's why I usually tended to avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, if you're entering, like, really high-level tournaments, then yeah, people want to give themselves all that extra advantage that they could possibly have.
So IVs specifically, that's like a whole level that, like, so if you're playing competitive, like, there's casually competitive and then like really like hardcore competitive, and then that's where like IVs like come in to like play a little bit more. So is that kind of what it is?
Well, I mean, people can do it regardless, but it's just like, it depends if it's worth it to you to like go through all that breeding to try to get the IVs that you want.
Right. So it requires a lot more like patience and like focus to kind of like get it to work to your advantage, I imagine, because like I imagine, yeah. I know that there's also a lot of like RNG in Pokemon still, you know, which I don't know if that's like, you know, if that makes people groan in the competitive field for it or whatever necessarily. I mean, I do kind of like when there is a little bit of like a random factor to certain things, because I think that can sometimes keep things interesting, including in the competitive side of stuff as well. Like, you know, I was in that non-existent camp of people that I was like, I don't mind tripping in Brawl.
No. Yeah, well, there are certain luck-based factors that are banned because it's just like too much. Because certain things like critical hits, for example, that's just part of the game, and that is a luck-based thing. Or like a move missing, because that's just, you know, you have that probability and whatever.
Yeah.
But evasion moves are banned, so anything that like reduces your opponent's accuracy, things like that. So, like, I think Sand Veil was banned because people would run like Sandstorm teams with Sand Veil and then you couldn't hit them. And then, and keep in mind too, it's like things could have changed, but last I knew, and I'm like, oh, this thing was banned, then, you know, things do change. But I know the evasion clause has been a thing for a long time.
Okay.
And, you know, you can't, not that anyone's going to use like sand attack or, you know, what have you in a competitive team, but like, you know, just under a blanket term, anything that lowers your opponent's accuracy is banned. And then also one hit KO moves. So the like sheer cold on ice Pokemon, or even though they have a low chance of actually hitting, it's just another one of... I was actually talking about this with a friend of mine recently who also plays competitively, and we were kind of thinking, well, if someone really wants to take that, if it's like a 30% chance the thing's actually going to hit, and they want to waste a slot on their team for that, then I say go for it, that's on them. But I guess they just wanted to take away that. Sheer
cold is that's the guillotine like ice move where like if you land it kills them in one hit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, see, that's the thing. I don't like. Okay, so are moves like that, like, are those allowed? Like, I mean, like, and also like
No,
manipulating.
one
Oh, they're
hit,
not.
those
Oh,
moves that
okay.
are considered KO are banned.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, actually, speedrunners adore those because X accuracy plus horn drill, you win. Nito,
Yeah, and
Nito,
see, that's another thing. It's like people could try to, um, well, I mean, obviously you can't use like those sorts of items,
uh
but
huh.
still.
Right. Actually, so are items allowed, or do you not?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
you can
okay.
have your, um, obviously you can't use like it can only be the items that a Pokemon holds, because as you know, you can't use like a potion or whatever when you're actually
Right.
battling another person. But so and there are certain items that were banned. Like I think there were, uh, I can't think off the top of my head of which ones, but like a really common one, and oh, and sometimes there'll be an item clause. So say you have like two leftovers, you can only one of your Pokemon can hold leftovers,
Oh, okay.
but some I've seen some tournaments enforce that and some not.
Right.
But obviously, like you have to allocate your items to whichever one can use it the best. So if you got a Snorlax on your team where it's really like high HP and high defense and stuff, then you want your Snorlax to hold the leftovers so it can just keep recovering. Whereas if you put it on like a glass cannon Pokemon, it would be kind of useless. Um, so like holding something that, helps your speed or your attack or what have you is good for like those kind of sweeping Pokemon. Or there's some of like the more, I guess, slightly gimmicky items like the red card, I believe, where it's like if they hit you, they have to switch out. And that can be good for the ones that are just trying to set up over and over. And especially if you have entry hazards, then you can kind of team it up with that. So it's like you kind of have to think about the cohesiveness of your team too.
Right. Now, I want to clear some things up too because like I was kind of making the correlations between like the Smash community, the competitive Smash community and stuff. Now, often when from my kind of first and second hand experience with competitive gaming circles in general, a lot of time it seems very like the focus seems to be entirely like when it comes to the enjoyment factor, like okay, it's just about the fight, it's just about winning the match, it's just about finding all of the the finesse and the little minor technical things within the battle system and the programming and everything, and sometimes there's not always necessarily a huge appreciation for like the aesthetics or the characters or like the motifs and things like that. But Gyarados is, again, we keep going back to Gyarados, which I know that you don't mind. Gyarados, I know, is a Pokemon that you like genuinely. Do you like because you just think it's a cool creature with a cool design? Do you like it more so because of like the competitive nature of it, and by as that nature, not literally in the game stuff, but like the nature of like, oh, I this Pokemon has served me well in competitive tournaments, therefore I like it more because I have an attachment to it in that kind of way. Like, what is that for you?
Yeah, I think both of those things are a factor. Because, I mean, there's some Pokemon that I like because they're, like, super cute or whatever. Like I like Delcatty, for instance, but I can't run that on a competitive team.
Right.
But the ones that I like that are also, I mean, like, I like ghost Pokemon and stuff. So, yeah, I'll run a Gengar because it's a really strong special sweeper. Like, I would say, yeah, I choose my teams more based on like what it can do, and it's because you want to have a balanced team overall. Like you want to have some that you can switch in that have really strong physical defense. You have one like they call it like a physical wall and a special wall, and stuff like that. So, but I mean, it's like a cool coincidence if one that I really like the design of also happens to be super good, so I can use it.
Okay. Like, so there are there other certain ones that you have grown to like more because of the fact that like they're really good for competitive play?
Um, yeah, I suppose so. Like, Ferrothorn can be really annoying if you like set it up right and stuff. Or I had it's so frustrating to fight small teams, but it's like one of those things where you're just like, okay, that was a really good match. Like, I had this one friend up in Alaska, and he was so good at running stall teams, and he actually had a Ferrothorn that would just, like, couldn't do anything against it. And he would just, like, stall you out constantly, like, all these status effects, and then every time you'd switch in, all the different layers of spikes would come at you, and so on and so forth.
See, it's interesting because, and I've been thinking more about this recently because I missed out on X and Y, and I'll probably talk more about this when I inevitably get to the Sun and Moon review. But with the closest equivalent that I've had to these kind of feelings with like when you're playing this way is now with the usage of the breeding sorry, not the breeding system, the Pokemon Ami, like the Pokemon refresh type stuff where you're like, literally bonding with your individual teammates and stuff. Like, I have grown to like my Lycanroc, sorry, more because there's been many times where I've been in a fucking jam and like it'll be like, oh, and now it's not paralyzed, or oh, it managed to hold on with one hit point, or it managed to dodge that move because it loved you, and the little hearts come out and just like, Lycanroc, you are the fucking best, oh my god. And it's like the one that does that the most, so like I've grown to be very attached. It's a good dog. Good Doge.
Of course, I like my Litten.
Oh no, me too. No, I love my Incineroar as well. He my boo. My Incineroar that I nicknamed.
The cat ladies.
I nicknamed my Incineroar Heatcliff because ha 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 ha. Anyway,
I named mine Crimson because after the band King Crimson, which is one reference in JoJo, two, their founding member passed away a couple days ago, so I was like, I'll name it like in honor of him.
Oh, I was almost about to call you a fucking nerd, but that's sweet and adorable. Never mind. So actually, another thing about this, I know that you've been kind of out of it for a while now, if I'm not mistaken, but what is or at least from your perspective with the people that you met, what is the community like for competitive Pokemon stuff?
Well, I haven't gone too much down here for it. I'd like to start again once I get all my stuff going. Thankfully, on my, like, I usually buy physical copies of Pokemon, so my old stolen DS won't be a factor in that, but I mean somebody stole it from me, not I stole a DS from
right. But, oh shit, she's put a Team Skull, yeah. God damn it. You have the hair for it.
I mean, a lot of my experience with competitive Pokemon was back up in Alaska, so obviously it was with people that I already knew for the most part and what have you, but I mean, it seems like it would be a pretty good community. I don't know, like, back in the Smash community, there tended to be a lot of drama, and I still see people talking about, oh, drama in the Smash community or whatever, but I don't know, I feel like the Pokemon community would maybe have less of that.
I mean, it's a cute, granted, like, for fuck's sake, Smash Brothers has lots of cute, bright, colorful characters also in it, but Pokemon is about raising animals and feeling like a 10-year-old constantly. like, can't be that much negativity. And then again, 10-year-olds can be immature too, as I'm sure we've learned. But, yeah, I see.
Well, it's a big age range of people who play it too, because yeah, of course you have the kids, and some of those kids are good. Like, it's easy to underestimate, like, oh, it's a kid, he'll probably send out like some crappy Pokemon, and then they've got like this full like team strategy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, like, no, that's what's kind of cool about it too, is because like that's where the core audience is built from to begin with. But the fact that like I remember I was watching on the Pokemon official YouTube channel, they have some of the battles that were recorded for the Pokemon like championships that they have, and there are kids of all ages and some I'm assuming some adults compete in those. I don't know if there's like rules against how old or young you can be or whatever to compete in those, but yeah, I mean, there are like, I think the fact that it is such a wide age range of people that are in that world, like, that's kind of cool. If anything, actually, it's quite fitting because it's much like how the Pokemon League competitions are actually kind of shown in this series as well, where you have characters that are as old as Ash, and then you'll have like adult characters, you'll have like some teenagers and etc. I mean, like even on the Kalos League was just happening recently. We had like Ash and Sawyer who were like 10 or whatever, and then like you have Alon who's like a teenager, and other characters who are a little older, and etc. And that's kind of cool because that really is like a kind of interesting one-to-one correlation of like how all-encompassing this franchise is and just how much people are into it and love it, which is really awesome. And yet it's still a world in this franchise I love so much that I have such little understanding of. I remember, Kira, I don't know if you ever saw anything about this. Nintendo and Pokemon International had a thing where people could do basically like an audition video of being a commentator for the Pokemon championships. And
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they would give you a video. It was a recording of a 3-on-3 match, and you had to record yourself basically commentating on it as if it were in real time. And I must have tried it about like 5 different times, and then I sunk it up with the video with Edwin's help, our friend Edwin Omadan Tiong. And I remember I put it out there, and the comments were interesting because they were like, "Wow, see, I think you would be better off if you got this gig. It would be cool if you were paired up with somebody that knows the meta game a little bit better, because I was commenting on, oh, that Gligar just one hit KO'd that, whatever. Oh, that was incredible, that kind of stuff. Like, oh, it's using Sand Attack, but like, but that kind of thing, like being all excitable and stuff and like getting really into it. But I was not commenting on any of the technical stuff because that stuff didn't even occur to me. I had no idea that that's the type of things that those commentators would talk about in addition. So a lot of the comments were either like, oh, you didn't even mention the fact that like, this obvious thing or whatever, or, kinder comments being like, oh, you would probably be better if like it was you to be like the hype man and then someone else to do the technical kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and sometimes they do it like that. Like I've seen that at Smash tournaments or whatever, where they have like one guy going, oh yeah, Wombo Combo, or whatever, and then you have the other kind of explaining like everything. Like,
oh man, that hit tog was insane. Yeah, that hitbox was massive on that last swipe or whatever. Yeah, like, well, I mean, Wombo Combo guy, so you're biased, but shout out to Wombo Combo guy. I don't know your name, but I hear you're cool. Was he at one of the official Smash ones as well that Nintendo put on?
I'm not sure. I know he's like doing a ton of stuff with streaming now and this and that. But...
Okay. Did you ever, I mean, for Pokemon, did you ever get involved with that kind of stuff, like in terms of like commentating or like promotional sort of things, or were you just kind of like, were you just in it to win it as a trainer?
No, I've never like done commentary for some things. I feel like I wouldn't be good at trying to do it on the spot or whatever.
I mean, you fool me. Managed to.
I mean, just like with my friends, I'll look over and be like, oh, here you go, this and this, or whatever. But, then you don't have the pressure of lots of people listening to you because you're just talking to your friends.
You'd be better off in the heat of battle, like, and now I'm gonna finish you off with this move, and you throw out your Pokeball, and it's like, yeah, go, bam, 10-year-old, whatever. Well, now you've gotten to do that. Well, actually, no, you haven't gotten to do that in the show. Sadly, I wish you got to, but.
Well, what's really fun is sometimes up in the Alaska Pokemon League, as the gym leaders, we would maybe, because a lot of us were into cosplay too, so sometimes we'd put together like a little trainer outfit or gym leader outfit, and we'd meet at a coffee shop. You can guess whose idea that was. I'm pretty sure the managers were like sick of us coming in there every Saturday and staying till closing to fight Pokemon.
Hey, as long as you're buying shit, who cares?
Well, it got to the point because people would get so into it that they would have to come over and be like, can you guys please keep the swearing to a minimum? Because, sometimes you're just really excited and you just say something without thinking.
There's no swearing in Pokemon. It's not allowed.
Come up with, like, funny, creative swears or whatever. But we would also have little badges to give out. We would design a logo for our gym badge, and we'd give them out to people if they beat us.
Oh, that's cool.
So I miss that. I kind of want to do something like that down here.
Well, see, that's funny because I was talking on I'm not doing a Kirblog about my experience with the trading card game because there's not much to say about that, but I was mentioning on one of the streams I was on, that I was putting on recently, about how I competed very, very, very briefly in my local Pokemon trading card league. It was at like a Toys R Us, and they would actually give you it was when Gold and Silver was the current generation, so this was a very long time ago. But they would give out little actual pins of the Johto Gym Leader badges for if you won a certain amount of matches, and that was cool to me. And I don't know if like they, excuse me, if like officially they still do stuff like that, but I don't know. There is something, and that's the other thing too, is I don't know what the like official, like, sanctioned by Pokemon International type thing. I don't know what that sub community is like as well, because also that has to do with like them overseeing certain matches and overseeing and promoting certain players and things like that. I have no idea if like there's a major separation between like the fan run community and like the official kind of ruling when they have like real tournaments. I don't know where the most recent one was. But did you know anybody that ever competed in those as well, or were they more to kind of just like their own personal like groups?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Did you ever have any kind of interest in that sort of thing, or is that so far out of your league, as it were?
Like maybe.
Yeah, I mean, would you? Well, have you played competitive Pokemon like in a long time, or have you just kind of been playing them casually as of late?
I haven't played in a long time because let's see, what was it? It was like the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I don't really know where to go around here to enter like Pokemon tournaments and stuff. I'd like to get back into it. It's going to be a lot of work because I have to, every time a new generation of Pokemon comes out, then it totally changes the metagame. So you have to like learn, sometimes there's, like now this thing, like the tiers will change or what have you with each generation. Because like I know, for example, in the previous one, you had Klefki and Aegislash and stuff, and like those were game changers for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, Klefki was game-changing for a lot of people because everyone was just like, it's a fucking key ring, Nintendo! And I'm like, I think it's cool, fuck all y'all. I love Klefki.
Well, we have one that's literally a bag of garbage.
Who is the best? Who is the best? And I will thank you not to make fun of Trubbish, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's me watching JoJo.
No, it's most of the internet, the Pokemon, which is why I'm confused as to why more people don't like Trubbish, because they should be they should find it to be one of the most relatable Pokemon, truly. I guess kind of last thing I wanted to get into, if you have any advice for, so if maybe people of varying ages or so were interested in getting into the competitive Pokemon world, what would you say to them? Like, what kind of things would you advise to them in different aspects on like, finding a community, or like, on training themselves, and like, how to have fun with it, and how to make it fun and enjoyable, and not into like, a chore, or to make it like kind of like too like taxing or whatever kind of thing. Like, what would you give in terms of advice?
Well, they have some things that make EV training easier now. Like there was the little soccer mini game thing in the previous generation, and so that was like, okay, this is, I guess a little better in my opinion than going out and fighting all those. But yeah, definitely to use a resource like Smogon and stuff like that, because it can be, if you want to use a certain Pokemon, but you're not sure, what sets do I want to run on it? What's viable? What's good to cover its weaknesses? Because, like, it's one of the reasons I like to run, say, Earthquake on my Gyarados, because not only is it a really strong physical attack, but then a lot of people, well, a lot of electric Pokemon are going to come in and try to attack it, so then having that Earthquake, that way if, say I have a Dragon Dance set up, and then something that's not super fast that's electric tries to switch, and it's like, Earthquake.
In terms of like maybe getting into a community, I mean, I know that it was mainly the one in Alaska, but in terms of like getting into a community, like anything to put forward about like finding people to like play with or anything like that?
Well, I think things are a lot easier these days because of social media and the internet in general. So I know, for example, when I have like a team ready again and stuff, it would be pretty easy to probably like go on Facebook and find, even if I can't directly find an event, find like SoCal competitive Pokemon community or something, and look for events in there. The difficult thing that I've found here is that since everything is so spread out, it's like, maybe I don't want to drive an hour to an event or whatever. But...
Right. Well, I'm sure in like Wyoming there's probably a Pokemon League for everybody. Everybody can get into it. I guess that's gonna wrap us up. So, Kira, thank you for taking an hour to talk about Pokemans for a little while, and mostly Gyarados.
Oh wow, it's been an hour already.
Yeah, almost. I do want to absolutely put forward the fact that, as I've been kind of joking with myself, you are now among the voice actors who are a fucking Trivial Pursuit question, and that you have now had the opportunity to be on both the Pokemon anime and recently on Pokemon Generations as a pretty cool character as well. I didn't realize that you were playing Malva of the Kalos Elite Four, by the way. That was quite a cool surprise.
I was so sad that she didn't have, like, one of, like, the only line that she had was just like, I'm reporting this, and that happened, but it was still really cool. I was just like, man, I wish I could do, like, a badass, like, yeah.
Well, people do love Malva. I mean, she is a great character. Now you're going to have to get yourself a Houndoom in your next team, so you can have that, the connection brought together. Actually, it was funny, too, because, we're recording this on Sunday. This is going up on Tuesday the 13th, I believe. The most recent one that just came out, so perfect timing that we were able to put off this one until now. Actually, I want to say too, I want to thank Kira in particular because we were this one came up now also because a lot of my other guests have been either sick or busy with holiday plans and people coming in and being super tired, so I've been trying to hold off, and so this was perfect timing, and so I do appreciate that as well. But it was funny because, the first of the, I'm assuming, 3 X and Y Pokemon Generation shorts just aired this past week. And it's funny because then the next day on Cartoon Network, it had Diantha and Lysander and Malva in it on the series, all with different voices. But also, if you go hunting in Pokemon X and Y Season 2, you will find a Character of the Day episode. I believe it involves Skrelp with Kira as a submarine pilot with her husband, played by Scotty Ray of Ninja Turtles fame. So that was hilarious for you to do that as well. But I guess any other things that you want to plug, any shows you got coming out, any things you got going on, social media, all that jazz?
Well, I feel like everyone would know my social media now. Obviously, it's at Rina-Chan because we haven't changed since 2008.
Try fucking 2000 for me. And
Kerber 15.
No, Kerber for 12 was how it started, actually, believe it or not.
But and then you just got tired of changing it for each of your ages, so you're like, okay, it's gonna stop at 15.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it stopped at 15. It was happening a lot because of the fact that my instant messenger screen name kept getting corrupted, and I have to make a new account every time. You were smart, and you just made a new fucking screen. You went through 20 different screen names in the early days that I knew you, before you just settled on Rina-Chan.
Yeah, I remember the one I had with my age at the time was Green Day Chick 17, but I think that's before I met you.
Yeah, no, I remember Green Day Chick. I remember Haushinka. I remember Kagome.
Haushinka was also from a Green Day song.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. And now you're just Kira Buckland. Thank God.
Yeah, and my I guess my screen name now is Lady Stardust, which is a reference to both Bowie and JoJo, which are my 2 obsessions.
Or you just flat out just call yourself Jolene and half their shit because you have a problem. You have multiple problems. But any other do you have any shows you can talk about that are coming out that have been announced or anything like that?
Well, Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans just finished. It's Toonami run, so people were posting the credits and stuff, and I saw your name in there.
Yes, indeed. I did some other additional voices, too. You're in Hunter x Hunter right now?
Yes, as Zushi, the kid with the big eyebrows. And then you had a big announcement yourself.
Oh, this isn't about me. Don't worry about it. Watch Mob Psycho 100. Astros Wars is out, I think, right?
Yeah. They, I believe just recently they released a new Blu-ray for it, so I'm the main female character
with pink hair.
Nothing has changed
because of course you are. Yes. Awesome, cool. All right, well, I'll
And
have.
I just ordered a unicorn onesie. This is so. I've been on this huge unicorn kick lately, so
Okay.
I'm ordering like unicorn everything.
Okay. Now, fuck Trubbish. You're a Garbodor now. That makes you a Garbodor. You
I have evolved into a Garbodor.
specifically with the onesie.
I made a horrible Pokemon JoJo crossover joke last night. JoJoke. It was so bad. I even acknowledged that it was bad because I knew everyone was going to be like, "Why?"
Dare I ask what it was?
Still got a lot of favorites. Okay, so when I was finally getting my Gyarados in Pokemon Go, because you have to collect 400 Magikarp candies, someone was trying to argue with me like, "Oh, well, it's it was hard to get it in the game too," and I'm like, I'm sorry, leveling up a Magikarp, like one Magikarp in the game to get your Gyarados, isn't hard because as soon as you get that EXP share, you just slap it on your party, and then you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, for this, I had to catch so many Magikarp, and they don't have them in the area where I live, so I had to go to the Santa Monica Pier, which is, like, an hour away and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. So I needed, like, 3 more Magikarps at this point, and I saw one just flopping around, like, herp, derp, derp. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go catch it, and... And suddenly, and this was a huge surprise, and I was very excited because I was like, this works too. You thought it was a Magikarp, but it was me, Ditto!
I hate you.
Photoshopped Dio's face onto a Ditto.
More like it should be a Ditto's face onto anything because that shit is hilarious.
And then someone else said, "Oh, Ditto likes to take others' bodies, just like Dio."
My God Almighty, I should kill you. Also, before I forget, speaking of surprises, I'm about to show Kira the preview image of this Kirblog that I drew the other day. If you can see this on Skype, I just sent it to you. Please take a look at
All right.
how I've chosen to illustrate you for this wonderful discussion.
I love it. Kira's even has a little pink star.
Gyarados lives. I'll send you a picture of that if you want that for a fucking icon someday. Anyway, Kira, thank you very much for joining me. That's gonna wrap us up. Everybody, in the comments below, if you have any stories to tell, experiences to share about the competitive Pokemon video game world, please let us know. Share us your stories. I want to know. Can you show me? I want to know about the Pokemon trainers like you. And show me your that. Yes, good. Thank you, Captain. And also if you've been interested in getting into the competitive Pokemon world and have any questions, concerns about that, and maybe anybody else in the comments who can give advice to folks about how to get into it and some of their experiences and things to advise on as well. Start a discussion. Join the conversation at hashtag not all legendaries. Otherwise, I don't know which one will be next because it's kind of dependent on whoever is available for recording. But I do hopefully the last 3 coming up will be a discussion about the Pokemon X and Y anime series, a review of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and maybe, if we're lucky and they are not sick or busy to all hell, maybe even an interview with a voice actor from the anime series. So look forward to any of those. I don't know. We'll find out together. we'll open that treasure box together. In the meantime, that's it for me. That's it for Kira, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
See you next time.